Good morning, dear friends. So glad to see you. Good morning, dear friends. So glad to see you. Good morning, dear friends. So glad to see you. Good morning to you, and welcome to Storytime in the Woods. I'm Miss Becca, and I'm glad to be here with you today. Goodness, it's pretty warm here right now, but the sky is quickly filling with clouds, and I hear we might have a big thunderstorm coming. It'd be kind of interesting if it starts to storm while I'm out here telling you a story, won't it? Don't worry, I'm safe. My house is not far away, and I will walk home if I feel worried about it. But right now, I'm glad to be here with you and have the chance to relax, to hear the birds, to smell the forest, and to enjoy a story. Let's call the story fairies, and today we're going to hear the story of Grandpa Ivy's Mayday surprise. Story fairies, come and bring stories clear and true. Story fairies, come and bring stories to our story ring. When I used to be a teacher in a school with children that came and met with me every day, every year we would have a Mayday festival at the beginning of May. We would build a maypole with long ribbons. We would usually make some kind of yummy food to share, and we would make Mayday baskets. And in the story I'm going to tell you today, Grandpa Ivy does the same thing at his school. And then when he becomes a grown-up, he decides to keep celebrating May Day in his own way. Let me tell you the story now. When Grandpa Ivy was a little boy, at school his favorite celebration was the May Day celebration. This happened every year on the first day of May. They would have a maypole with beautiful long ribbons that they would all dance around, and they would make and eat so much yummy food. But Grandpa Ivy's favorite part of the festival were the Mayday baskets. They would make simple baskets out of a piece of paper and fill them with beautiful flowers. And then they would go around to all of the houses around where the school was and leave a basket of flowers, a Mayday basket, on each porch. So the people who lived there close to the school would wake up that morning and open their front door and be delighted by a beautiful Mayday basket. Well, Grandpa Ivy liked making and delivering these Mayday baskets so much that when he moved to Riverbend, he decided to continue the practice there. And every night before Mayday, he would work to make the baskets. Then he woke up bright and early before anyone else in Riverbend, and he went around and put the baskets on everyone's porch. Sometimes he would hang it from the doorknob, and other times he would just lean it against the side of the porch. Whatever worked. But everyone got a Mayday basket. And then he would go home. And this happened every year. Grandpa Ivy at this point was the oldest person in Riverbend and lived there longer than anyone else. And that meant that everyone in Riverbend knew what it was like to open their front door on May Day morning and find a basket of flowers. At first, no one knew it was Grandpa Ivy leaving these. He was up so early and back home before anyone woke up and saw him, so he could keep it just to himself. But over the years, people started talking and wondering where the baskets were coming from, and soon it became known that it was Grandpa Ivy. Grandpa Ivy's neighbor Dante came over one day and asked him about the baskets. Grandpa Ivy shared with Dante all about how much he loved the Mayday festival at school. Well, Dante went home and told his mom, and Dante's mom told her friends, and they told their friends, and then they all decided to get together and do something for Grandpa Ivy. They wanted to thank him for all the magic and joy he'd brought their community for many, many years. They decided that they would surprise him with a Riverbend Mayday celebration. Not only would they have a maypole and delicious food, but everyone in Riverbend would make a Mayday basket and leave it on Grandpa Ivy's porch. Of course, Grandpa Ivy didn't know this was happening, and he woke up on Mayday morning that year like he did every year, ready to deliver the baskets. He went out and left the baskets of flowers on his friends' and neighbors' porches. And when he was on his way back home, he realized that something was different this year. Usually, when he's out delivering flowers, he'll start to see lights turn on and hear the sounds of people waking up, maybe taking their dogs out to go potty. And he didn't hear any of that this morning. It seemed unusually quiet, even for Riverbend. And he was considering why that was so when he came around the corner to his house and saw his front porch covered in baskets of flowers. He walked up with a little hop in his step. He couldn't believe his eyes, and it was true. There were Mayday baskets all over his front porch. Grandpa Ivy looked at all of these beautiful baskets, and his heart was so full that even though he was the only one there, he said out loud, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." And then a little voice said, "You're welcome." Grandpa Ivy looked up, and he saw peeking around the corner from his backyard was one of his neighbors, one of his very youngest neighbors. And Grandpa Ivy went to go up and say hello and good morning to this very youngest neighbor, when he noticed that it wasn't just that neighbor in his backyard. In fact, his backyard was filled with all of his neighbors and his friends and his loved ones. And there in the middle of them was a maypole covered in beautiful ribbons. Off to the side there were tables filled with food that looked and smelled delicious. And everywhere were May baskets. Grandpa Ivy didn't know what to say. In fact, he was speechless, and he stood there looking around at his friends and his neighbors. Dante's mom came forward and said, "Grandpa Ivy, thank you for everything you've done for our community. Today we want to have a May Day celebration in honor of you, and we propose doing this every year on the 1st of May." Grandpa Ivy thought that was an excellent idea. So he heartily welcomed that idea and thought of all the celebrations that they would have for years to come. And then he joined his friends as they danced around the maypole, and all was well in the world. That's the story of Grandpa Ivy's May Day surprise. I hope you enjoyed that, friends. It is just starting to rain. There's little pitter-patters starting to fall here. I felt one on my nose when I was telling the story. Friends, thank you for being here with me today. I'm going to pack up and start walking home before it starts to rain more and before maybe even it storms. I love a thunderstorm. Friends, thank you for being here. I hope more than anything that you know that you are loved.